We've all lived through before and after times. And so we are currently living through one of those transitions where we're currently, right now, in the transition from the before the AI times to the after the AI times. Just think about how much you think about, talk about, hear on the news, hear on social media about AI compared to, say, 3 years ago, or 4 years ago, or 5 years ago. 5 years ago, nobody's talking about it at all. Right now, you can talk about it with your Uber driver, with your the person serving you coffee at your executive director meetings. Everybody's talking about AI, and because we're in one of these transitions. And like all these other paradigm shifting technologies, I don't think the world is really ever going to be the same again. And so I want to start with this idea of why AI is just such a big deal, why it's different than a lot of other technologies that we've lived through. And for all of human history, language was exclusive to humans, right? Which means every conversation, every phone call, every text message that you had was a human to human communication, except for maybe a few like bots on websites that were annoying or trying to get to a representative on like a call, trying to call some like Amazon or Target or something like that. Except for those cases, everything was a human to human communication. And we use our language for how we transfer information to each other, for how we share how I feel and how you feel, and how we share our ideas. And ultimately, we use language for how we build culture. And what's wild about AI is that just changed, right? For the first time, computers interjected themselves into the system, language, that we use to build our society. And we are influenced by language. That's why copywriting exists. That's why marketing exists. That's why you write donor emails. And because AI uses language and because we are influenced by language, AI will influence our society. Already I'm starting to like kind of look out for little mini cases of this. So whenever somebody in the real world says the word game changer, which if you've used ChatGPT for more than 5 minutes, you realize that ChatGPT loves the word game changer. I start to wonder, like, where did that come from? Did they say game changer 2 years ago, or is that a new influence into ChatGPT, into our language? And so I asked myself the question, like, is this going to be for better? There's a lot of hype. If you're on LinkedIn, it's like, oh, it's going to save us. Is it going to be worse? Is it going to consolidate power? Is it going to like disrupt our society? And I think like most paradigm shifting technologies, it's really going to be both. It's going to be for better and for worse. And it's kind of up to us to help steer it towards ethical and responsible adoption. We don't want to fall into the same situation we had with social media, where 10 years later, we're now realizing it's like wrecking our mental health. It's like not good for our youth. It's not good for our attention span. It's literally changing our brains. I think the same potential can happen with AI. And so, how do we actually use this technology to amplify the positive work we're doing, especially for nonprofits, and not make things worse for us? And so, the goal today is to show some demos, talk about some best practices, and start to talk about some of these new ethical questions that we've never had to consider before. I have a friend recently divorced, and they said that they are getting hammered with ads for get an AI boyfriend, get an AI girlfriend. Like people will fall in love with these. What do we do with it? That is a new ethical question that we've never had to consider before as humans. And there's a whole host of these. There's a whole host of ethical questions that we need to like navigate through. And there's no one answer. And so we need to be using our judgment as we go through this. And so we're going to be talking about generative AI. The AI has been around for a long time, but this new thing, right? Generative AI, ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, Grok, like these are these new tools. And I'll tell you a little bit about who I am and how I got here, but I'm going to wait to do that because part of my life was being a teacher. And again, I was so annoyed when people would just talk and talk and talk. And at the very end, they would show the demos. And I was like, when I teach, I'm not going to do that. Demos up front, and then we can have context to talk about them. So I'm going to show some demos for AI right now, and then we'll talk a little bit more about it, and we'll see some more demos as well. So the first thing I want to show is deep research. And the reason I start with this is one, because it's wildly powerful and it takes about 10 or 15 minutes to run. So we'll revisit in a little bit. So mostly during this demonstration, I'm going to be using ChatGPT as kind of the primary tool. It's the tool that I suggest most people start with because there's a lot of depth. You can go far with ChatGPT without kind of running into the limits of what it can do, without like hundreds of hours of use. If you're past ChatGPT, we can talk about that later. But so deep research. So all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna click on this button down here underneath with the little like kind of like telescope looking thing. Oops, not that one. Deep research. And it switches from ask anything to get a detailed report. And so, what I want to do is I'm going to do a deep research project on something that I literally am learning about and want to learn about, and that's in-kind donations. What are the best practices for in-kind donations? What information is out there about how to do in-kind donations and build up corporate in-kind donation partnerships? So let's find that out. I need to do a deep research project on in-kind donations and the best practices for nonprofits to initiate in-kind donations, both as a one-off when you need specific supplies or support, and then also as a more strategic corporate plan. So in-kind donations are a topic that a lot of nonprofit consultants have talked about. There's a lot of information out there. And so I want you to go and research all the best practices and all the information you can find about in-kind donations for nonprofits, small to medium size in the US, searching about 5 years, within the last 5 years. And I want you to consolidate this into a kind of an analyst report that I can review and educate myself and start educating my team on the best practices for asking for in-kind donations. So I talked for 51 seconds. It's going to dictate that into text, and then we'll send that off. So when you're doing deep research, and with deep research, you get on the free account, you get 5 deep research. On the paid account, I think you get like 15. And on the super account for $200 a month, you get like 250 or something like that. And so with deep research, it's going to ask for, it asks follow-up questions before it goes to the research. So questions are, am I looking for specific industries, any specific type, legal tax consideration? Okay, that's good for me to know. Would you like the report to include case studies? Okay, so I'm going to answer some of these questions. For now, I'm not looking for any specific in-kind or category, but I do want to focus on physical objects, so not technology. And yeah, so physical objects, and yes, also include the legal tax considerations. And yes, you can include case studies from other small to medium-sized nonprofits if you can find those case studies. So I answer its questions with my voice, and it's going to start this research project. While that's starting, I'm just going to check in on the chat, make sure that I'm not missing anything here. And so it says starting research, and then that will finish in about 15 minutes. We'll get like a 15-page report back. And so that's one. And the next thing I want to show is planning and marketing an in-person event. As I've helped nonprofits, one of the things that I've learned and realized is that one of the best things you can do is invite people to your physical space and just show them the impact. You can do all the digital marketing you want, but bringing somebody in and having a face-to-face conversation, showing them direct impact, showing the space that you're working in can have a really high return on investment on, which is to say, you invite people in, and some people might write $1,000 check that day. And so there's two types of events. You can have huge galas, which take a year to plan, tons of resources between time and actual money resources, or these kind of like micro small events where you're just maybe inviting like 10 people to come to your organization. And so I'm going to help with planning that sort of event because the effort is a lot lower, but the return, what someone might, any person could be a $50, $100, $200, $1,000 donor right then on the spot. And so as I've been working, people have kind of said this is a better use of time oftentimes than the big gala. But it still takes a lot to plan any sort of event. So I'm going to go to an event planner that I have. And so this is a custom GPT or a custom AI assistant. I may talk about that a little bit more today and the next series as well. And so what this is, it's already trained to help me plan events. And so I'm going to answer its questions and it will have a few follow-up questions. And what this AI assistant is going to do is help me create the title, the description, the Facebook marketing pages, the website descriptions, the email campaigns, the invites, the attendee list. Like it's going to help create all the assets that would go along with an in-person event. So I'm going to again open up my microphone and start talking to it. The type of people that I want to invite to this event are principals of local schools. Because we support students at our retreat camp and we do resiliency skills for students, we want to invite local principals. And when we're going to do a lunch and learn for principals, so lunch will be provided, it's a free event. And we'll also talk about the topic of AI in education. So we'll have a little bit of training on a topic that will be interesting to them, and we will have a networking event and they get a tour of the camp and they learn a little bit about our services. But it's really about providing value to the participants that are coming. So the theme is going to be lunch and learn for principals. The date is going to be on August 1st. So go ahead and start the next step in the process for creating this event. So answer the questions, and it's going to have a few different follow-up questions. And a lot of times, our job is when we're using AI is to select what the best option is. So rather than creating something, this is giving me five options for me to choose from, right? And I could say, I don't like any of these five. Give me five more. In fact, we'll just do that. I'm just going to say, give me five more. Right? And now I've got 10 options for the title of this event. Education leadership, don't like it. Leading schools forward, lunch and learn on AI and students' resilience. Okay, so I'm just going to say I like number 9, and I don't want everything to be capitalized in the first, but let's go ahead with number 9. So I read them all, which I did not do. But if I were really doing this work, I would read them. And then I choose what I think is the best one based on my judgment. So the next thing it does is it's going to give me event description. So again, it's trained to give me five that are exactly 3 sentences, and it's focused on the value and the benefits to the. So I would read these. I'll just read one. Enjoy a free lunch and learn opportunity designed to inspire and inform. You'll leave with actionable strategies related to AI and education and a fresh understanding of how offsite learning experiences can build student resilience. It's a perfect mix of insight, connection, and nature. So I'm just gonna say the number 3. I'm saying that's the number that I choose for my description. Now the next thing is going to write my website information. So now I've got my title, I've got my events description, I've got who should attend, I've got the RSVP, I've got a sample agenda, which I would need to update, right? Because it didn't ask me anything about it yet. So and my host. So I'm gonna update the agenda real quick. I need to update the agenda. This actually starts at 11:30 and is going to run for 90 minutes. The agenda overall looks good. There'll be the 15-minute window to start, and then we'll open with the discussion. Then we'll move to lunch, and then the tour will be last. So I'll go ahead and create a new agenda for me. So again, I'm just telling it what I want. And so this is where I am. Troy, and I see it in the chat. I will share out all of these resources that I'm sending. So a lot of my work is to build custom AI assistants for nonprofits, and so I'll share this one and the other ones that I show today. So here's the updated agenda. It's saying let's move on to the next task, which is creating subject lines for the email. I'll just say yes, move on. And now I've got 5 subject lines to choose from. Education evolved. That's boring. Discover, connect, and innovate. That doesn't tell me what it was. Refresh your perspective. Explore student resilience strategies and network with peers. I'm going to say, I don't like any of these. I want it to be really clear that I'm inviting them to a lunch and learn. So lead with that and then have the secondary part be the follow-up about what it is. So I didn't like any of them. I'm giving some feedback saying, I don't like what you created. Now we're getting somewhere. You're invited. Free lunch and learn for school leaders. That's more compelling. Learn, connect, and tour a unique student retreat center. I like the first part, but not the second. So this is oftentimes how I'll work. I'll say, I like the start of number 3, and I like the end of number 4. Can you give me 3 more options that mix these two together for me to review? So I'll say, I like this part and I like this part. Can you mix them up and give me more options? So it's transcribing. And here are more options. You're invited. Free lunch and learn for school leaders. AI insights and resilience building strategies for your students. Great. I like number 1. So again, my job is to select. Now it's saying it's going to write the entire email. I'll just say yes, write the entire email. And now I've got it, or it did write the email. Now it's doing my social media post. So here's my social media post. And at the end, I'm just going to say, I think there's maybe a few more steps. I'm just going to say, now make the full marketing package. Okay. So now give me all the resources. Now I still have to upload this to the website. I still have to post on social media. So there's still work to do, but how long would it have taken to go through this process of making the titles, writing the emails, writing the descriptions, doing the agenda? It's like hours and hours and hours of work, and we just did it in about 10 minutes. If I were doing this in real life, I would have spent more time on it just to make sure it's really good. So here's my full thing. So that's how you can use AI to plan and market in-person or virtual events. So the more I use this technology, the more I realize that it really is going to be important to use your judgment as AI unfolds, as we transition from a pre-AI to a post-AI society. And actually, the deeper I get, the more I realize that critical thinking is never going to go out of style. In fact, it's really more important than ever. And there's two reasons for this. The first is that you need to use your critical thinking to understand where you need to be intentional about where you want to say yes to this technology and where you adopt it and where you want to use it in your work life and your personal life, and also where you want to set boundaries. One personal boundary for me is that I do not use AI to write like handwritten cards. I did it one time and I was like, I hate this. It sounded like ChatGPT. It didn't sound like me. It didn't come from me. And I decided right then and there that I was never going to use AI at all to write a handwritten card again. The second reason why it's really important to use your critical thinking is that using AI effectively requires critical thinking, right? AI does it, but the thing is, AI doesn't know what good is. AI doesn't have judgment. AI doesn't have critical thinking. You do, right? You have critical thinking. You have judgment. You have experience that you can decide of those five subject email lines, which is the best one? Why is the best one? And that's where your judgment comes in because AI will very confidently say that it's the best but all it's doing is just writing that. It doesn't actually know what's good or what's not good. So just a quick hello for folks that that are new to this group and new to these sessions. I'm just going to give my quick little intro. I'm Kevin Hardin, and I've really had this like pretty winding career. I started out as an engineer and went to engineering school because I've always loved building stuff. And so I became an engineer and I started building medical devices, aerospace stuff. This component here on the right, this like vertical ball screw, I know a lot about. Like I studied that for many, many years. And I was kind of literally working in a windowless office, and I was like, I don't think I like this work anymore. I want like more excitement. I want to do some more stuff.
It was leaking quite a bit now. Like I filled it up on Monday or something, and it's already down to 33.
Oops, everybody muted. All right. Okay, we're good there. Okay. And so I quit my job and I went back to school and I got a master's in education and kind of combined my previous engineering experience. And what I really focused on was building kits for students. That's the thing I loved building most was building these like different building systems for students to build things with. So I ran an engineering classroom and I used my students to build things that we could donate to other schools and to the community. Um, and then I took that experience and I became a professional inventor where I built public art, I built medical devices. I was essentially just an inventor for hire. So you could come to me with your idea and then I would build custom prototypes for you. And I did that for about a half a decade. And then I started using robots to build houses. I got involved in 3D printed housing construction where I was setting up these big robot systems, building planters and small structures and architectural elements. But I was breathing in a lot of concrete dust every day. So I was like, I don't know if this is for me. And so I was just looking around at all this work that I was doing and the impact I was having on the community and the environment, and just realizing that like our world has so many problems to solve. And I just thought, like, how do I help? How do I help solve inequity and solve the climate crisis? And so my mission right now is to amplify the positive social impact that others are making, especially nonprofits, by helping them leverage AI and not get left behind in this digital divide. So to help the helpers serve more people. So that's my little intro. That's why I'm here. And so what exactly does AI even do? And how does it specifically apply to nonprofits? So all nonprofits, they kind of want the same thing. They have the same challenges, board challenges and grant reporting, grant writing, and fundraising. It's always fundraising. So everything's about speed things up, speed things up, speed things up. So can we use AI to write a fundraising email? So I'm just going to go to blank ChatGPT, just a generic version here, and I'm going to talk to it. I need to write a donor letter to request a donation. We have a donor that I want to send this to that has donated for the last 6 months, but then turned off their recurring subscription. So I just want to engage with them and ask, kind of ask them what's up and be polite and friendly and see if they would consider re-engaging with a recurring donation. So it's going to write this, right? It's a say yes machine. It's always going to try to do the thing. Um, I need to tell it about the programs. It's kind of just putting a placeholder in here. So I'm going to give it one little update and say the program that we run is a resiliency camp for students to learn resiliency skills at a 92-acre summer camp called Because I Said I Would. So a little bit more context. The more context and details you give it in general, the better results you get. So we'll take a look at this and let it finish. Gonna copy it, put it into my email. We need to, oops, where are we at? Here, copy, paste. This person's name is Sam, and my name is Kevin. Right? I sent it off. Didn't even read it, right? So, like, who feels uncomfortable with what I just did, right? I'm just emailing random AI things that I didn't read to donors, right, that I have a relationship with, and I may be ruining that relationship. And so I do it this way to show that this is not the way to use AI and to explain an important concept when you're using AI, and that's called human in the loop. So human in the loop is where you, as the human, check the output of AI to make sure it's actually what you want. Is it good? Are you willing to put your name on the end of this email and send it to a donor? Because I could, especially for externally facing stuff, it's really important that you don't ruin the reputation, the trust that you built up with your donors. So the more sensitive something is, the more human intervention in checking that you need to do. And so we use this idea of human in the loop. There's another idea called expert in the loop. We can talk about that in a future week, and that's how you train these AI systems based on your expertise. But the human in the loop comes at the end as you check to see whether or not you're willing, is it good, right? Is it what you want to send? So here's another impact or another demonstration. So this is one that I use a lot and a lot of nonprofits that I work with use, and that's sharing the impact that you're having with donors. You're not necessarily asking for money. You're doing this amazing work. Why are you not telling about them really regularly, engaging with them, celebrating what they're making possible, sharing the impact, the specifics, rather than just saying we're doing this thing. It's like, no, we're doing this exact thing. This is the impact that you had. And often just comes down to capacity. It takes a while to like write up one of these stories. And so I have a impact story generator. So the nonprofit impact story generator. And what you do is you just tell your story with your voice. And it's important that you use your voice when you're doing this type of work because you want to get all these details that you can kind of get when you story tell. Um, and it's going to repeat a lot of those stories back. And so let's go ahead and I'm going to show an example of this and we'll see the output. And we'll actually read it and see if it's good this time. I need to describe an impact and share an impact that I've had with donors at my nonprofit called Little Helpers. What we did is we implemented a new program with the support of the donors that we've had join in the last 12 months. And we had one anonymous donor that really made this possible to launch a new resource pantry within a school system where students can come and they can get supplies not only for school and food that they need, but they can just get any household items, no questions asked, no limits, and they can support themselves and their families. And we've had a huge success with students having a positive outcome from this. And one specific story I want to mention is with a little girl named Samantha. That's not her name, that's an anonymous name. And Samantha was kind of struggling in school, always had her head down. And after we had the resource pantry, Samantha became a regular and really perked up and really felt like she was supporting her family and felt like she communicated that she felt like she was making an impact and felt good about herself. So we just want to do a quick little newsletter to celebrate all the supporters that we have that have made this possible. So all those little details in there, the more you use your voice, the more it actually sounds like you. If you've used AI and it sounds a little robotic, my suggestion is try actually talking to it. So let's read it. Hey, friend. I don't love that. Hey, friend. A year ago, we had a dream, not a big campaign, not a 5-year plan, just a simple, powerful idea. What if students could get what they needed, no questions asked? With the help of the donors who joined Little Helpers in the last 12 months, that dream became real. Thanks to one generous and anonymous donor, we opened a brand new resource pantry inside a local school. It's stocked with everything from school supplies to food to soap and toothpaste. No forms, no limits, just dignity and care. The impact, massive. Let me tell you about Samantha. She used to come to school with her head down, quiet, withdrawn. After the pantry launched, she started stopping by regularly. At first for supplies, then food. Eventually, she shared something else. She said coming to the pantry made her feel proud, like she's helping her family, like she mattered. And that's the part that gets me. She didn't just get what she needed, she found a way to give back in her own quiet, powerful way. That's what you made possible. Not just from Samantha, but from dozens of students and families who now walk a little taller because of something they believe in. So if you've donated in the past year, thank you. You didn't just fund a pantry, you've helped change the way a child sees herself. With gratitude, Executive Director. All right. So the question to you is that good, right? Would you send this out? Would you make more edits? Would you change things? It's a decent first draft. I wouldn't send it as is, but it definitely was a lot faster than me just sitting down and typing this from scratch. Another thing that's useful that I've used with nonprofits is creating volunteer instructions. So maybe you've got volunteers coming on Monday. This is a literal scenario that happened. You've got volunteers coming on Monday. It's Friday. You have nothing prepared to like onboard them and welcome them. And so you need to create a set of instructions. When are you going to do that? Well, you're going to do it on your weekend, on your time. And so how can we use AI to do this? So I do have a custom assistant I like for this, but I'll just do it in custom or just regular ChatGPT for this example. So I'm going to say, I need to make a set of volunteer instructions for camp because I said I would. And volunteers are going to be coming on Monday, August 1st, and they're going to be doing volunteer projects on the campgrounds to clean up flower beds and repair and paint some benches. So they're going to need to wear closed-toe shoes and lunch will be provided. The day starts at 9 a.m. We want to have just a little bit about our mission. So if you can go to can'tbecauseIsaidIwould.org and pull the mission statement, include that in the beginning. This is going to be a document that we're going to hand everyone at the beginning of the day so they know what the expectations are for that day. And then we also want to volunteer an opportunity, a call to action at the end for them to know about upcoming volunteer opportunities and thank them for coming. 51 seconds of me talking. Again, I'm kind of making this up, but this is all in your head. You're like, I know what I need to tell volunteers. Or maybe you have a set of volunteer instructions you just need to tweak a little bit. So here we go. It's got its welcome and mission. Here's the volunteer day, the schedule for the day, what to bring, safety expectations, lunch breaks, a little bit of like you're making a difference, next opportunities. And now I'm going to show something a little bit more advanced. So far, I've only been telling the AI to do things, right? You do this, you write this, you do this. Now I'm going to have the AI ask me questions for me to consider. So let's try that. Now your task is to give me 3 specific suggestions for how to make this document better and give me 3 specific questions that I should consider when making volunteer instructions. So this is called reverse prompting. Everything I've been doing before is just me talking to the AI and telling it to do stuff. Now I'm going to have it start to engage with me so I can think more deeply about this. Add a camp map. Seems like a good idea. Add a weather contingency. Also a good idea. Clarify tools and equipment provided. Maybe, maybe not. All right. What questions? What do volunteers need to know before they arrive? Probably good. Can you send me an email? I can have it write the email. Are there any accessibility or physical ability considerations? How do we collect feedback forms? So I'm just going to say, these are great ideas. Can you incorporate the 3 suggestions you had? And can you also write the feedback form for me to review? So I'm going to say, okay, include your suggestions and do this other task that you suggested as well. So it's going to update it now with its own suggestions. Let's see if they get in there. Now the weather contingency is in there. Now, is this correct? Is this what I want? I'd have to read it and, tell it if this is what I want. Um, and here's the feedback form. Oh, even made like a scan the QR. And here's the form. All right, how would you rate it? Yada, yada, yada. Okay, so that's made creating volunteer instructions. So it's just faster for making documents, right? Next thing, who's got kind of a love-hate relationship with Excel, right? We've just been forced to use this for decades now. I know that I do, and every time I ask this question in keynotes and big speeches, lots of people raise their hand and they have a little chuckle. So let's go back to AI, and we're going to use AI to teach me how to do an Excel thing that I kind of know a little bit about, but I need to know the specifics. So again, I'm going to go to ChatGPT. Again, I'm going to talk to it and I'm going to say, your role is to be an Excel expert and an expert at teaching Excel. And the goal of this conversation is for you to teach me the specifics about a specific Excel formula that I know of, but I don't know how to do. So I think I need to do a VLOOKUP table because that's what my colleague said is the right solution. But the problem is I'm trying to do a VLOOKUP table across multiple worksheets and pages, and I don't know how to do that yet. So first, I want you to teach me what a VLOOKUP table is. Then I want you to give me the instructions for how to do it across multiple pages. And then I want you to give me the exact code I would need to plug in. And then afterwards, you're going to help me problem solve if I run into any problems. So I'm going to tell it what the goal is, what the role is, and then what I need. And so it's going to tell me, right? It's going to teach me. Um, VLOOKUP table stands for this. Here's the syntax. Here's the parameters. How to do it across multiple worksheets. Here's the exact code I would need. And I could go back and forth and be like, oh, here's the name of the work page that I need to reference. Here's the lookup stuff I'm trying to do. Here are the next steps. And so you can use AI to help problem solve other things you're doing that aren't necessarily AI, but they're just technical problems that you're running into, and AI can help you do that. I was redesigning some CNC manufacturing stuff just this morning for another nonprofit, and I was like, I don't know how to use this program. How do I turn on layers? And it told me exactly what I needed to know. So I want to talk a little bit about the fact that I'm talking to AI, right? I'm using my voice. I haven't typed basically anything. And so I've got a brick of text here. I'm just going to read the first sentence. It says, voice to text is not a new feature on computers and phones, but we needed AI to make it more useful because when you use voice to text feature, you get a brick of text like this that's not that useful. It's just a monologue and not structured anyway. Imagine if I sent you this as an email, right? You would look at that. This is my actual dictation. And what's wild is AI understands us. It understands our language. And what it really is good at is transforming information from format to format. So I can go from that dictation to this bullet pointed list. This says the same stuff. I just took that dictation, put it into AI and said, turn this into bullet points and sections. And it says all the same information. But which one would you rather get? This one or this one, right? Humans are really good at reading things in sections and bullet points, right? This unstructured data is just not that useful. So why is it so good to talk to the computers and talk to AI? It literally feels like, I cannot stress this, it literally feels like a brain to computer interface. And I didn't even realize this until I started using it pretty regularly. I now talk to my computer maybe like 80% of the time. And what I realized is I think and talk differently than I type. When I'm typing, I'm trying to type the actual finished product. I'm trying to type it in my email voice. And because I think faster than my fingers move, I have to basically slow down to this pace of my fingers. When I talk, I get to communicate to the AI or the computer at the speed that I actually think at. And it doesn't care if I ramble on or go back and forth or say an idea and then tell it to ignore the previous idea. Like it can understand that nuance. And so it literally feels like a brain to computer interface. And so one thing I've been thinking a lot about is like, how will this one feature, the ability to talk to computers, change us? And we need to be thinking about this. How will this empower your staff that don't type very fast? Can this offer a little bit more equity to your staff members? And so the interface between humans and computers is fundamentally changing. In a follow-up session, I may show how we can take pictures of whiteboards or take pictures of sketches and have AI convert that into digital formats. But just even it understands our handwriting. So the interface between computers and humans is changing. So moving on, AI, this new generative AI stuff, it seems to write things, right? It writes project plans and proposals and emails and reports and operating procedures and documentation and meeting minutes and budget overviews and strategic plans. But like our work really is words. Like think about how much of your work right now involves language, either processing information coming into you or communicating information out to you using written language. And what AI does is it writes anything that you want it to write in the format that you want to write. I want you to write in the format of an email this. I want you to write in the format of a strategic report this information. And so our role in this is to tell it exactly what we want in the format that we want and the most important thing, if you're just going to take one single thing away from this entire hour, which I appreciate you coming and spending time with me, is that your job is to know what good looks like, is to use your judgment, to take the output and work with AI in this like collaborative way to shape the AI to be good. But you have to know, you have to have some expertise to know what's good, right? Sometimes you can try to use AI for something totally outside of your domain expertise. And the problem is you don't even know what good or not good looks like. And so I call this an AI illusion, where it looks good to a non-expert, but it does not look good to an expert. And so what are you an expert at that you can use AI to speed up because you've spent your entire career getting good at this thing, getting good at fundraising, getting good at program development, getting good at volunteer coordination. And then you can use AI for the skill that you have to do that thing better and faster, but still relying on you and your critical thinking. So how do you actually pick AI, like an actual application for AI? And so before I do demos like this, I talk to people and I'm like, and they say like, I don't even know what I'd use AI for. I tried to use an email, write an email once, but I ended up just taking longer and I rewrote the thing anyway, right? And then after a demo like this, and I do sessions that are even more intense on like showing more demos with data analysis and all sorts of other stuff. After the demo, I oftentimes hear people say like, oh, I can think of 100 ways to use AI. I can't wait to get started. But that's its own problem because where do you actually get started? And so where I suggest people you start with is what are the tedious work that you don't like doing, maybe you hate doing, but it's very important. It's very important work that needs doing. What is that? Right? Because all the time I hear things like, I just did 6 hours of work in 45 minutes, or I just did 3 hours or 3 weeks of work in a dedicated 4 hour session. So that doesn't surprise me at all anymore. But one of the pushbacks that I get is people will say, well, I just don't have time to learn another thing. And then they have this like shame cycle of like, I should be doing this thing, but I'm not doing this thing. And then they're like beating themselves up and like, I don't have time to learn about AI. And so my suggestion to you is to apply AI to the things you're already doing. Like what's on, not this far out, like, oh, we could use AI to create this crazy automation, or we could use AI to update our employee handbook. It's like, no, what's on your to-do list this week that is due Friday that you could use AI to speed you up for? And so I'd love to hear in the chat, like, what is this work for you? What is this tedious work that you don't like doing? Maybe it's on your to-do list every single day and it's the last thing on your to-do list and then you don't get to it. So it goes on your to-do list the next day and then the next day until it's due and then you do it that day. I know I have that problem. So what is this work for y'all? What is the work that is like kind of soul sucking? Like you didn't get into this work to write grant reports. You got in it to connect with people and help them. Like what is that work? So love to hear anything that comes up for you as far as what's the tedious work you hate doing that is still important and needs doing. But it begs the question, like, so what? So you can do what, right? Do more work, right? And so what I focus on is how do we reduce the tedious work that you're doing that needs doing so that you can do more of the work that you love that has the highest value for your organization. So what's this? Right? And when I ask people this question, and I've asked audiences of hundreds and hundreds of people, um, what is the work that you love doing? What is the work that has the highest value to your organization? Basically, two things come up. The top two answers, number one answer by a large margin is relationships, connecting with people, connecting with new donors, connecting with foundations, connecting with new partners, connecting with the people you're actually serving and building those relationships. Because even in the world of I think that human to human relationship building is going to actually become more important because the internet's going to get flooded with AI and nothing will replace a human to human connection and a human to human interaction. So my goal is to free you up from the stuff that's like keeping you from that. Number two answer is usually like high level strategy, thinking about how to grow the organization, thinking about how to bring in new programs and new partnerships. So curious, what's here for you in the work that you love that has the highest value? So, what are some AI best practices as you get started? If you're going through this and you're like, yes, I'm ready to jump in. I want to do this. Number one, give super clear instructions. Think about AI like it's the smartest assistant you've ever had, but it's literally their first day on the job. They don't know who you are, they don't know what you want, they don't know what good looks like, and so you just have to tell them all that. And you can say your task is, your role is, your goal is, like just be really explicit in the instructions. I didn't really demonstrate this because I'm just doing the fast demos, but you have to really read and judge what the AI is producing for you. And now don't feel obligated to read everything, but to understand what it's creating, you do need to read something and judge the quality of the work. And then once you read it and you judge it, provide feedback. This I was giving demonstrations, right? I don't like this. I do like this. Take these two ideas and mix them together. Give me five more options. I want this. Take this out. So giving feedback to it is really critical. I cannot stress this enough. Try talking to it. It's built in now to ChatGPT. This was harder like 6 months ago when it wasn't built in, but it's on the phone app and it's on the desktop app and it's on the web interface. So there's a little microphone button. If you click that, you'll pull up the dictation. Just to be really clear, what I'm talking about, it's this microphone button, not the one next to it. The lines, the vertical lines, what that does is that has a conversation that's back and forth where AI will talk to you. I don't like that. It just isn't for me. Maybe you do. But I use the dictation where I just go one direction. And then ultimately, this is the most important. You have to know what good looks like. This is our job when using AI. We have to use our judgment. We have to use our critical thinking to shape the output to be good. And for that, you need to be able to evaluate something to determine if it's good and what you want. Is it useful? Is it actionable? Does it convey the information that you need to the person in the format they need? I don't want to just make more AI fluff or AI garbage. One of my fears is that what could have been a three-sentence email turns into a three-paragraph email. Don't send me that. Send me the three-sentence version. And so I worry that we are going to like make more noise. Arguably, the three-paragraph with way more just junk in it is not as good as the one that communicates the information that I want in the format that I want it. So super clear instructions. This is a good slide to take a picture of if you want. Super clear instructions, really read and reflect, provide feedback to the AI after it produces something, try talking with your voice, and ultimately, you need to know what good looks like. So, where to go from here? Maybe you're intrigued, maybe you're at the first steps, maybe you're deep into AI. So there are three things that I suggest. Number one, you just have to start using it. There is a small learning curve, but you see how easy it was. I'm just literally talking to it. If you're already a good communicator, that means you're already good at using AI. There's no technical skills needed. You just need to open ChatGPT and start talking with your voice. And there is a little bit of learning curve as far as just understanding how does it reflect information back? What is it good at? What is it not good at? And you're not going to figure that out without some experimentation. And you don't have to go alone. So I have some other stuff I'll talk about how to potentially work together. Number two, I'm going to have more of this series. So this is a new series. If you've been around a while, you've probably heard me potentially give this presentation. I've given this presentation United Way in Washington, D.C. I've given it to many, many nonprofits, maybe 2,000 different nonprofit leaders have heard a variation of what I presented today. Um, so I'm going to continue this series for three more sessions where we're going to pick up from here and go deeper, where we're going to see more examples, get more tools, start digging into the work you're actually doing. So when you registered, or if you're part of the community group already, you'll get some information about that, and I'll ping you afterwards it'll be Wednesdays at 1 p.m. Eastern for the next 4 weeks. Next. I have a community group. So a lot of you might be coming from the community group. I recognize a few folks. Lindsay's always here every week. Love that you're here. If you want to join the community group, it's normally $27 a month. Because you're here, you can join for 2 months for free. It has specific AI trainings and resources and AI tools and a lot of the stuff that I've been demonstrating today, how to talk to your voice, how to get a meeting note taker, a community group to ask questions and get your questions answered. So it's called AI for Social Good, and I do a live weekly training. That's basically what you're at now. That's on Wednesdays at 1 p.m. And I also have custom AI assistants for nonprofits, a classroom section in there. So happy to invite you to join for 2 months for free. You can get a lot of the resources there and then decide if it's something that you want to continue afterwards. No credit card required. You can just join and check it out. And really, when thinking about AI, the goal of AI is to empower you to do more of the work that you love while still maintaining your integrity and your values. And so we're all trying to navigate this together. And my mission is to help you amplify the positive impact that you're making.